Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arc Schooling, and today, finally, I'm going to be filming my mid-year book freakout tag. This is probably one of my favorite videos to film because it gives me a chance to sort of reflect and see where I'm at the midpoint in the year. This is a little bit late because I just have not had it in me to turn on the camera and film. I'm in a weird place right now, but I'm making this happen today because I know I don't want to skip this video. So we're just gonna do this. I'm doing this the absolute most laziest way possible to entice myself to film. So editing Emily's probably not gonna have a great time, but filming Emily is actually gonna do the thing. So let's start with some stats. At this point, today is July 12th, I believe is the date. So at this point in the year, I have read 63 books. My goal is to read 100 books by the end of the year, so I am above average, not average. I am on my way towards that goal, so that is going great. Okay, let's just talk for a second about all the things I'm not doing. I made several reading goals for myself at the beginning of the year, and I have accomplished very few of them, and that's fine, because I'm reading things that I'm enjoying. I'm actually having a very good reading year, so I'm not sad about the things that I've not managed to accomplish, but I'm just going to refresh all of our memories. So my reading goals were to complete the Build Your Library Reading Challenge, which I am on par to do. There are 41 prompts in that challenge, and I have completed 22 of them. So I am like exactly halfway through that challenge. So I'm feeling pretty confident that I'll finish that. Next is to read at least one Buzzword-A-Thon book per month, and at that I have failed. I actually did 3 out of the 6 months that I could have done this. I managed the dream prompt. I read In an Absent Dream. I did a color. I read Black Girl Unlimited in February, and then I did the May prompt, which was House Home, and I sort of cheated a little on that one, and I counted Horror Store, because it's about a haunted house, a horror store. I don't know. It doesn't really fit the prompt, but I decided to cheat and say that it fit the prompt. So, oh, and I did the June one, which was names and titles, and I read Joe, which is a graphic novel adaptation of Little Women. So I did do some of them, but I have certainly not done one every month. I wanted to read one nonfiction book every month, and I did not. I have read 4 nonfiction books this year, so I'm reading nonfiction. I just haven't read one a month. I completely gave up on the read one short story collection every month. That's just not a thing that's going to happen, and I'm fine. It's okay. I'll get to those eventually. And read my shelves. This was like the biggest, most important part of the challenge for me this year. Was like I wanted to read as many of my own books that I already own as possible. I have a lot of books. My home library is massive. I've been working on putting them all into this library app, and I have something like, hold on, I'll give you the exact number. So I have at this time 2,454 books in my personal home library. And I don't think I've actually put everything in yet. I think I still had another shelf or 2 of books that I need to get to. I haven't done Regina's books. So I'm probably somewhere closer to 3,000. It's a lot. So I really wanted to prioritize reading the books that I already own instead of like buying new things, reading ebooks, that sort of thing. So I did some math and tallied it up. And of the 63 books I've read this year so far, 27 of them were books that were already on my shelves. So not great, but not terrible. So perhaps the second half of the year, I'm going to push myself even harder to focus on the books I already own. Okay, with all that being said, let's get into the actual tag aspect of this video. So I'm going to just be placing pictures so I don't have to pull anything off my shelves, because the thought of pulling down stacks of books right now made me not want to film. So hopefully everything cooperates with me. What is the best book I've read so far this year? I have 3 books that I would consider my favorites of the year. I read They Went Left by Monica Hesse. I read When the World Was Ours by Liz Kessler, and Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Those are probably like my 3 favorites of the year. What is the best sequel I have read this year? I haven't read that many sequels. So I'm going to say the best one that I read is probably In an Absent Dream by Shauna Maguire, which I think is actually like the 4th or 5th book in the Wayward Children series. I'm not sure. I know there's a bunch. What are some new releases you haven't read yet, but you need to? So many. Just so many. I'm gonna pick 3. These are 3 that I'm like, I want to prioritize. So that's gonna be The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed, The Hour of the Witch by Chris Bohalian, and Hidden Palace by Helene Wecker. What are your most anticipated books for the second half of the year? Probably my most anticipated, the ones that I'm the most excited for, would be The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, which comes out like this week. I'm so excited. And White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson, which comes out, I want to say, either September or October. But that sounds amazing, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. It's like a Haunting of Hill House meets Get Out. I mean, it sounds so good. And I love Tiffany D. Jackson's writing, so I'm very hyped for that. What is your biggest disappointment so far this year? I've had a pretty good reading year. I don't really think too hard about books that I DNF. I kind of forget that I even was reading them. So I don't know if I've actually DNF'd anything this year. But I would say of what I've actually completed, the book that probably would be my biggest disappointment is going to be Game Changer by Neil Shusterman, which I didn't dislike it entirely. I think that book had a lot of potential, and I think I hyped it too much in my head because I thought it was going to be on par with like what he did with the Arc of the Scythe series, and it was okay. I just felt like, I don't know, it needed something. It was missing some things or trying to do too many things. I don't know. But it didn't quite work for me as well as I thought it would. So I guess that's my biggest disappointment. What is my biggest surprise? This one, I'm going to say it's my biggest surprise. I don't know how to interpret this as surprise. I'm going to say Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown, and I'm going to say this is my biggest surprise only because I didn't really know what I was getting. I thought this was going to be sort of like a Harry Potter-esque kind of girl learning magic in a magic school kind of a thing, because that's what I interpreted from the blurb that I read about it. And I thought, oh, that sounds cool. That's not what it is at all. It's so much better than that. And I don't even know how to explain it. But it was like such an impactful, amazing story. So I'm going to say that was my biggest surprise, only because it was so not what I thought I was getting, but better. Who is my favorite new author? I'm going to say Kemi Dawn Bowman. I've only read one of her books, but it was so good. And I'm very excited to read more by this author. I read Starfish, and I thought it was fantastic. And I'm like, I need more of that writing because her writing was just so good. I want to read more of it. On that same note, who's your newest favorite character? I'm going to say Hiko from Starfish, just because I found her story so compelling. And I was rooting so hard for her the whole book. I thought she was extremely well written. I loved that book. What is a book that made you cry? Honestly, this year, what isn't a book that made me cry? I feel like I've been like on, my emotions have been in hyperdrive. I'm gonna say for this one, They Went Left and When the World Was Ours. Those books hurt. I was a sobbing mess by the end of both of them. And I think that they were beautiful, and I'd love a story like that like hurts and haunts me, and I don't know. Those books were great, but honestly, I've cried quite a lot this year reading things. I mean, I literally just finished reading Sweep, A Girl and Her Monster, which is middle grade, and I was sobbing at the end, and I've already read that book. Like, I knew what was going to happen, still cried. What's a book that made you happy? I'm going to say, this is going to be a weird answer. I'm going to say Remember Me by Christopher Pike. I did a whole vlog reading that. That book made me happy, not because it's a happy book, but because I loved the nostalgia of it. Oh, that was so fun. Going, like, thinking back to like what was like middle school Emily thinking when she read this book. I don't know. It was fun. You should go check out that vlog if you're curious, but I had a blast. What is the most beautiful book you purchased this year? I'm going to say The Witch's Heart. Like, off the top of my head, I've recently, I feel like, been blubbering about this book. Like, I've been talking about it a lot because it's gorgeous, and I just I want to frame it and hang it on my wall. What books must you finish before the end of the year? All of them? So many of them. I'm gonna link my recent 5-star predictions video because those are like the 5 books that I'm prioritizing getting done by the end of the year. There are more. Like, I still want to read Final Girl Support Group. I want to read White Smoke before the end of the year. I've done so many books. So many books. Maybe I'm just gonna like flash some books up here for you guys. All the books. I have so many things I want to read. And there's so little time and it makes me crazy sometimes. That's gonna be all for this video. I'm having a pretty good reading year. I've read a lot of 5 stars. I'm very excited about that because I feel like last year was a terrible reading year, and I feel like this year my top 10 is gonna have some competition because I've read some great stuff. And I think the second half of this year is gonna be just as good as the first half because there's so many books on my TBR and in things I'm working on that I know are going to be great. I'm just excited to get to them. If you haven't done this tag and you want an excuse to do it, I'm tagging you. And if you don't want to do the tag and you just want to tell me what's your favorite book that you've read this year so far, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. I can't wait to hear your answers. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.